basically she's been working with people a lot, as some of you are, and others, in guiding them in life and success. And I think that's actually a very rewarding thing to do, having done some of that myself. But I'm very excited to welcome Joanne, and if you would, just let's welcome her and let her tell us what she has to say.
You're on, so whenever you...
You are live. You were live before you started. So.
It's okay. That's a training. So most of us spend more time planning a vacation than we do planning our lives. Today I'm here to share with you about a summit I made of Mount Rainier. It was 12 years ago, so I wasn't in my 20s, needless to say. And sure, it's a story about a climb, a mountain climb. And it's also maybe a story about your mountain climb in life. Because don't we all have that next mountain that appears? And it usually appears when we least expect it. And most of us know it's coming. So I'm going to invite you today to look at where that next mountain is for you. Because we never stop growing. But before I start, I'd like to introduce you to my favorite bag. I love this bag because I travel a lot, and it's just the perfect size. It always fits in the overhead bin, so I never have to check it. But most of all, I love this bag because of all the zipper compartments. So I can keep putting more and more and more stuff in my bag. Kind of like we keep putting more and more and more stuff into our minds. A lot of it cluttered stuff. Especially now, my apologies, in the age of social media and inboxes and emails that are filled way beyond you'd have the capacity to look at. More and more and more stuff gets put in our minds. Now, some of that stuff is very, very valuable. Some of it, however, well, maybe, just maybe, you have some of the things in your thinking that I have in mine. So let's give it a try. Let's see, okay? So these great things are, I want to keep memories of my successes. But there are things here, well, you just tell me, the habits that you don't want anymore. Anybody with that? Doubt, some fear maybe. And anybody else have that hamster wheel, that goes off about 2 in the morning and keeps going and going? Anybody have that? Raise your hand. Yeah, there's a couple. Great, thank you. So those are the kinds of thoughts and habits that I'm going to share about with you today. Because most of the time, these thoughts and habits that are on the floor are running the show. Sometimes we're aware of that, and most of the time, we're unaware of how these limiting thoughts and beliefs impact everything we do. Sure, we talk about being blindsided, and we talk about staying in our comfort zone, but really we're talking about not just mindset, but unexamined habits and beliefs. And that's what I help people do, is see the things that they can't see about what's in this bag. Let's do an experiment, okay? Because I'm thinking that there are things in this bag, other things that we share, like habits and sayings, things we just know about ourselves. So here's an example. I'd like you to follow along and fill in the blanks with me, okay? Let's see, it's a saying. Money doesn't grow on trees. Wow. Really? Isn't that interesting? We're from all parts of the state, maybe even different parts of the world. But we all know how to fill that one in. How about this one? Good things come to those who... Wait. Ooh. How about this one? Early bird gets the... No, that's not true. Okay?
The overnight, the one that stayed up late got it first.
Got it
Never-
first. Yeah. The early bird's way too late, right? So those are examples of all the things in your bag that are invisible or on autopilot. I really help people get off of autopilot because there is a way to do that. But you're probably wondering how in the world I got to the top of Mount Rainier. So let's go back to that story. Well, that happened, it all started in the lingerie department at Macy's.
Of course.
For all good things start.
That's Some friends and I had been in a business training, and we went shopping when it was over, and we entered the lingerie department. And at that time, we decided that we were going to go shopping in Asia. As after the year-long training, that sounded pretty good. And I like shopping. I was all in for that. I liked the food there. I liked the clothing there. I liked the people there. I had this image of Thailand. It was awesome. It was awesome. So I relaxed and I started to walk around the lingerie department shopping. And when I got back to my friends, my friend Vicky said, "Guess what, Joanne? We're not going shopping anymore. We're going to summit Mount Rainier." And I said, "Guess what, Vicky? No, we're not. Not me. I'm a city girl. I don't climb. I don't hike. I don't camp. I don't own any long underwear. I don't own a backpack. And I certainly don't sleep on ice. I'm not going. No." And I kept saying no for several months. And then one day, my husband at the time, somebody else said husband at the time, I think it was Randy. My husband at the time said, "So what are you afraid of?" And I said, "Well, duh, dying." And he said, "I don't think so. You see, you do a lot of dangerous things, a lot of things that could kill you. You scuba dive, you water ski, you drive down the freeway at 90 miles an hour. I don't think so. I'm not buying it." And, you know, he was right. I didn't want him to be right, but he was right. And he taught me with that question my very first superpower. Today I'm going to share with you 3 out of the 6 superpowers that are in your invisible zone that help you get the results that you want. So I'm going to hand out some sheets here. And I need to remember to keep one so we can fill in the blanks. So I found myself at a crossroads. I could either let my fear and doubt and worry, the things in my bag, control my life. Or I could change my viewpoint on those things. And that's your first superpower. The ability to change your perception of anything. Anything at all. But mostly change your perception about who you are. The things that these cards on the floor tell you that you are. Maybe you've found yourself using these words at one time in your life. You know, I'm just fill in the blank. I'm just a procrastinator. That's a really popular one. I'm just, just a little too old. I'm just a little too young. I'm out of time. There's not enough time. There's not enough money. I'm not educated enough. Any of those things are the thoughts in your bag that limit you from the success and the potential that you have. So was I going to let the thoughts in my bag control my life and my potential, or not? And in that moment, I chose to say yes to Mount Rainier. Deep breath. And that's when I learned my second superpower, which is the power of memory. The White Queen in Alice in the Looking Glass said it best. She said, "What good is a memory that only works in one direction?" What would it be like to remember your future? Sure, it's easy to remember your past. What would it be like to remember your future? That's what I teach people. Their vision of the future is the way to remember your future. And then the key is to act as if you're that person already. Now that takes quite an imagination, which is another superpower, but we won't talk about that today. I have a friend in Seattle, Sam, and he gives the best example of how to use memory to be the person you are becoming. Whatever that is, whatever your next step is. You see, Sam was employed, and it had been a while, and he really needed a job. And he saw this ad at the local zoo. And the only requirement to get the job was complete anonymity. And he could do that. He got hired after a really, really rigorous background check. And that day, his first day at work, they gave him a gorilla suit. You see, he had been hired to replace the gorilla who had escaped from the exhibit so that the townspeople wouldn't become afraid. And so he tried his best to be a gorilla. Because seldom do we know how to do the things that are required to be our future selves. So he did his job, trying to be the gorilla, and he wasn't very good because he didn't know how. But over time, he got better and better and better. You might say he mastered being a gorilla. And one day, he was doing such a great job being the gorilla that he lost his grip and he landed in the lion's exhibit. And the lion started to stalk him. And completely forgetting his promise of anonymity, he started to scream, "Help me, help me, help me!" And the lion said, "Would you shut up? You'll get us both fired." I apologize. Sort of. And I hope you never forget that silly story. I hope you never forget to be the person you are becoming before you know how. The how keeps you stuck in that bag. And what's possible for you is way more than what's in that bag. And all it takes is giving up, needing to know how. And be with the discomfort of not knowing how. The third superpower I learned when I harnessed myself up to 3 other climbers. This is a blocking carabiner, not one of the keychain varieties. It was really harnessed to those 3 other climbers for 4 days, with the exception of sleeping. And I learned my third superpower, which is the power of will, in a training practice, a practice exercise. We've been practicing stopping the slide of a 200-pound man into a crevasse. I'd been watching my colleagues all day long. It was now my turn. And in that moment, when I felt the tug on my rope, I threw myself onto this ice axe. I dug my toes and my knees into the snow and ice, and I just hung on. And the pain shot up through my legs and into my back and into my hips, and I just wanted to let go. After all, it's just a training exercise. Just a training exercise. But in that moment, I didn't let go. And from that moment on, I was never the same. Because in that moment, I was being the mountain climber of my future. I didn't know how yet, but I just made a baby step by hanging on and realizing that I could be a mountain climber. Where are you right now? Ready to hang on or to let go of something, either way, to be the person you are becoming. Just think about what's next for you. That next vision, that next goal, that thing maybe you've had on your shelf saying, someday. And yet inside your heart, inside your spirit, you know, someday is now. How many of you got up this morning and voted whether you were going to brush your teeth or not? Show of hands. No, of course not.
I didn't vote.
Yeah, you didn't vote. No, you just did it. I had one lady who said, "Well, yeah, I didn't brush my teeth this morning." She said, "Well, we were going to have garlic for lunch, so what the heck?" Yeah, we don't vote. So the power of will is not willpower, because willpower doesn't work. It works for a short amount of time. But will is a sustained momentum toward your dream. And will is a superpower. By default, we do not use it. By default, we don't. We say we will, we muster willpower, and then it kind of gives out. So what I help people do is actually exert their power of will based upon what they dream for themselves in the future. And that's your third superpower. The power of decision. The power to decide. At some point in time, you decided it was in your best interest to brush your teeth. And you never looked back. It was a decision. You probably had some help by a parent or a caregiver. But you decided. Because the first time, it felt icky in your mouth. I'm sure of it. Blech, toothpaste. But it's to your advantage. So you may be wondering, some of you know from advanced conversation, we made the summit. This is obviously before digital cameras. I'm the one in the pink with the pink sleeves. There were 70-mile-an-hour winds, so you can see we're kind of hunched over. Just for perspective, there's a 1 in 10 chance of dying in a slide on Mount Rainier, and less than 50% chance of even making the summit. So this is extraordinary for not knowing how. The team in front of us turned back because of the wind. All of my clothing, remember, city girl, all my clothing came from a thrift store.
Mm-hmm.
And all of it went...
Climbing thrift store?
Well, in Seattle, you do.
Yeah, good point.
If you time it the right time of year, right?
There you go. Okay, good point.
All of it went back to the thrift store, which is exactly why they survive, except for my long underwear. I didn't keep that. And I didn't want this. I didn't want this. I wanted the me who I became as a result of this. I wanted the me who I became as a result of doing something, deciding to do something, despite the fear, and be the person I was becoming. Where are you ready to be the person you're becoming? I wanted the courage to leave a 20-year marriage that really wasn't healthy anymore for either one of us. I wanted the courage to leave my home of Seattle for 20 years, to move to Texas, to move to Dallas and start over. I knew 2 people when I moved here. I wanted the courage to leave that 30-year corporate career with all of its safety, with all of its security, with all of its benefits and start my own business and follow my passion as a coach where I can support others in facing what's in that bag, facing what they've always believed about themselves, and taking that next step to more. I learned that more is really a good thing. So I'd like to pass out another handout. Thank you. And what I'd like to offer you today is actually an opportunity for a couple things. The first is I offer a complimentary strategy session. So if you've ever wondered what it's like to work with a coach, and there's a resonance, like you think she might be interesting, then please check the box that says yes. It's that yes to your moreness. And we have an hour conversation on the phone, and we'll figure out if they're a good fit. I'll answer any questions, and you'll get some coaching too, which no matter what is valuable. It's always valuable to have another perspective on the stuff in that bag. One of the things that I've been able to do as a result of facing another fear was write a book. And it came easy because I had a support team. And so there's an opportunity to take a look at this and see if there's something interesting in here that would support you, because it's for sale. I have order forms today. It's for sale. So I'd like to finish up by a quote from Howard Thurman. And he says, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. So what makes you come alive for 2017 and beyond? Thank you.
Awesome.
So,
Can you take questions?
absolutely, I'll take questions.
We got some time. We got a little time.
Oh, good, good. Yes, sir. Randy,
So
yes.
during your climb, did you have any fear, and did the fear ever leave you?
There was some fear. It was not sustained fear. So it wasn't the fear in that bag. It was really the fear of, there was actually one situation where we were walking over what's called scree. And it's loose rock. Even though we've been walking on the ice for a while, it's loose rock, and when you're in crampons, so you got the spiky, things hooked onto the bottom of your boots, and we were walking across on a steep slope across this scree, and that was actually the most frightening part of the whole climb, was walking across that scree, because if I slipped, it was gone, and we were not at that point in time. We were not roped up. We hadn't gotten to elevation yet to rope up. And so if I slipped, I was on my own. And that was the scariest part. And I think that's true about life, right? It's scarier when you're on your own, or you think you're alone. You have an illusion that you're alone, even though you never are. Great question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
How often when you meet with somebody do they even know what makes them alive?
Great question. I would say 0.
Otherwise they wouldn't be meeting with you?
No. They don't. They meet with me because about 50% think they know what they think they know. 0% know their full potential. 0% know how much power these limiting beliefs have over them. That's why I say 0. That they have a limited idea of what makes them come alive. And they have no idea what fully makes them come alive. So it's a journey. It's a journey of discovery. And that's where I support people, is in that journey of their own potential, their own discovery. So that take care of the question? Great. Thank you. Great one. Who else?
I want to ask a mundane question.
Oh, good.
How long did it take you to climb?
Okay. I was on the over 44 day.
Okay.
So the climb looked like this, the structure of it. We climbed to 10,000 feet the first day. We overnighted on the glacier the first night and the second night. So we took a whole day at 10,000 feet to acclimate. Some of you earlier were talking about Mount Everest, and Rainier is 14,400 feet, not 26,000 feet. And still, your lungs can get pulmonary edema, which is the reason most teams turn around. And it will end your climb. If you don't turn back, it's life-threatening to get pulmonary edema. If you can stay and acclimate even 24 hours, the odds of getting into trouble are significantly reduced. So we had 2 nights on the glacier, and then got up about 2 in the morning and climbed summited Mount Rainier, and then came back to 10,000 feet for a night, and then back down the next day. Some people ask what the hardest part of that climb was. It was actually about 2 miles from the parking lot. And you know how runners hit the wall and their thighs go, they just hit the wall and everything goes. And that's what happened to me. That probably the adrenaline came down a little bit, but my legs just gave out, and so I had this pack on my back, about 35, 40 pounds, and I don't know how many of you ever watched Laugh In, but remember the guy on the bike, and he'd fall over, and I would walk a couple steps, and it was unsteady ground, uneven ground, and I would fall over, and I was thinking, no amount of mindset, no amount of I'm going to power through this was working. And finally, my colleagues, they got caught on to what was going on, and they took my backpack off. They emptied it first, and then they took my pack off my back. So they took all the food out and split it up amongst themselves. Somebody took my pack. And without that extra 35 pounds, I could make it to the parking lot. So that was actually that was the hardest part. Can I answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Anybody else? Okay, I think we're done. Thank you very much. Check the box if you'd like a strategy session. Give me your email if you'd like to get my blog. I promise I will not spam. I write, and and I'm looking at an opportunity to post a little more to Facebook. So please let me have your email address or your card. All right.
Great.
Thank
Thanks
you very
again.
much.
Make a list when you do your tax return. You can donate up to $4,999 worth of stuff. And it helps maximize your itemized deductions with your property tax, your mortgage interest, and also any sales tax on any cars, trucks, boats, or motorcycles that you buy, snowmobiles.